So the question is this. The question is this. What drives the Tesla stock? Well, obviously everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion because everyone talks about Tesla all the time. The question as an investor is this. What really drives the stock price? Not necessarily what you think, but what actually does it. So how do you find out what drives the stock, right? Well, essentially, as I did a video on QQQ, you also need to do a video on Tesla, and you need to pinpoint those items that are highly correlated with this news cycle and the stock. And at the end of the day, what you need to do is you need to create the story. It's a story. It's about the story. It doesn't matter which stock it is. It doesn't matter which situation, which option. It is a story. Then once you understand the story, then obviously you build either you buy the stock, or you get the option, or you get to see what is it that's of interest to you. So let's do that. Let's try to understand what happened with Tesla and then learn so that we could take advantage of it. How do we do it? Well, let me show you. Let me show you exactly what has been what first of all, let's try to understand what happened to the stock price first of all. Okay? So let's take a look at Tesla. Okay? This is Tesla as I talked to you in the past about, right? So you could see exactly what the stock is doing. Now, what has been happening to the stock? Well, lots of things. Take a look, for example, at take a look at this. Right? Look at the circles that I have highlighted for you. What do they represent? Well, quite frankly, what they represent is all the basically the main latest story on Tesla. What are those stories? Well, frankly speaking, they are all about. First, it was um, it was a Robotaxi event. Then it was the earnings, and then it was the Trump trade, which keeps on going and going and going and going. So we have literally four items going on at once. Okay, uh, as you could see, these are the one I am telling you about. So what really went on there? What really went on with the Tesla trade? So if we take a look at September, okay, more importantly, prior to the Robotaxi event, we noticed several things. First of all, we noticed that there was a bit of a situation happening with the stock. And the situation I'm talking about is basically no one really liked it. No one really liked the stock. Why? Well, I think there was a bit of a too much of a closeness with Trump's, and there was too much of a closeness with the fact that, frankly, they don't understand what's going on with the stock, and that's always a problem. That is a problem. Take a look at. Why am I not live? What's going on? No, I am live, so that's not a problem. Um, Sorry about that. Um, so, what are we looking at? Well, take a look at what happened here in October. Um, there was some pop up, really some really interesting discussion having to do with the expectation that the stock was going to do very well. You know, and look at this, right? And that was up until we had the situation again with okay, I'm back alive. We had the situation back up in this was basically, let me show you, let me get more into the weeds, but right here you could see they were expecting some great news about the Robotaxi event. Um, so what happened on the Robotaxi day? Well, let me show you what happened to the Robotaxi event. This is what happened. The news was we had stunningly absent on detail. Tesla Robotaxi event wanting more. And that was on October 11th. Okay. Investors were left with more questions than answers, it seems, following Tesla Robotaxi. CEO Elon Musk unveiled a fully autonomous cyber attack from the Warner Brothers studio studio lot in Los Angeles, a vehicle with design nods. The Cybercab is slated at the 2026. They were promising a 30,000 k 30k a car for Tesla, one of the cheapest one. The robot was more of a Hollywood entertainment event. It was all negative. So basically, they were looking at it in a very negative way. And while Tesla and fans enjoy the rides in the vehicle and drinks were made by Tesla robots, imagine that, right? The company was down 7% on Friday. Huge, huge disappointment. 7%, right? Overall, we found Tesla event to be underwhelming and stunningly absent on detail, noted Tesla Bear from Bernstein. I wonder what he's saying today. So there was a story that's being told. There was a story that was being told. And it's always like that. It's always like that. They're basically telling you a story. And it may be a good story, maybe a bad story, but the story at that time is, I don't like it. Yeah, they did a bunch of things, but I wasn't really impressed by it. And this is something that you need to be fully aware of when you look at stocks, because you got to get the story straight. If you don't get the story straight, why is the story so important? Because the market is extremely an emotional being. The market is, and I did a video on with philosophy and market, and I'll do another one. But basically, the market is very, very emotional. But think about this for a second. If the market was unemotional, it was purely a numbers game, then could find a formula to find out what's going to happen to stock prices, right? So, what makes it interesting and difficult is that you need to understand what's really going on with stock prices and the stock market and what the story is. There's no formula to be derived to give you what the answer is. You need to get a feel. You need to get a feel for the market. You need to get a feel for what the market is thinking. That that is what is difficult. Now, of course, some people could do well, and frankly, you can say, well, maybe it's luck. Now, of course, I'm not saying just pick any stocks at random and hope that it goes for the best. You got to make sure you have a good stock. You can make sure you have a good company. You make sure you have a good product. You have something going for it, right? But then it needs to fit. It needs to fit within the environment of the market itself, and that's a difficult part. And so far, no one has found a formula. And thank goodness, because otherwise there wouldn't be a stock market, right? Because we would know the prices, and that would be fun. So going back, going back to our chart, the second event that occurred is obviously after the debacle of all this, right? I mean, don't forget, we were talking $240. We're at 350 today, folks. We had 350. This was 240. Okay. It was just a debacle. It was almost the worst. And then, of course, what didn't make things easy, right, during that period is that Elon Musk start to get more and more involved with Trump. So obviously, people that were naysayers about Trump, obviously they bundled Elon Musk in it. So that was a double whammy. Plus, at that time, they thought that Trump was going to lose, so that was not a good thing. Now, at the end of the day, the market still reacted positively because we had a jump from around the 216 level to about the 272 level. Why? Well, because of the earnings. And let me show you what I mean by that. Okay. Okay. So Tesla shares jump on profit. Now, this was October 22nd. Musk prediction of at least 20% vehicle growth. So basically, the earnings were fantastic. Okay, Tesla soars on blowout quarters. Earnings per share 72 cents versus the 58 that was expected. Revenues 25 billion. Revenue increased 8%. Profit margin was bolstered. Automotive revenue increased 2%. So the company was well. So now the story was, oh my God, this stock actually makes money. This company actually makes money. This is fantastic. So the stock went back up again. But again, as the story is always being unfolded and it's always a situation, the name started to go sideways again because the Trump noise, and people that did not like Trump, and they say, look at him and look at him, look at both of them with this horrible company. It doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating the situation, but this is to tell you how the psychology works in the markets. And I'm only talking about one stock. Imagine all the stocks. I mean, this is like a so suddenly Trump and Elon Musk were tied together at the hip. Now, I will tell you, if Trump had lost, maybe they wouldn't be looking at Tesla the same way. Why? Because the company sucks, because they make robots. Who cares? Because they don't give us details. They don't sell enough cars. People are dying in their cars. It depends how you look at it. And at that time, they would just look at it all negatively because Trump was going to lose. Okay. But then obviously he did not lose and he won. And going back to my chart, I mean, we went from 260, almost 100 points. The stock, right? Literally, the stock literally went up a lot. Look at that. So, what's been happening since then? Well, we are basically trending up. Why are we trending up? We are trending up for several reasons. Because now we are looking at the exact same company, but now we're looking at it differently. Why? When we say we, I mean, where do you get your information from? Right? You get from the news, you get from research analysts. Uh, Now, how did these all these people suddenly became enamorado with Tesla when nobody really liked it before? Now, and that's the psychology of the markets, right? What made them suddenly fall in love with Tesla all over again when the company was the same? Now, obviously, there are four reasons. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, by the way. I surely do appreciate it. And like this video. Why is it that suddenly is Tesla a good deal? There are basically four reasons, right? The first one is obviously now the Trump trade. What do we mean by the Trump trade? Well, what we mean by the Trump trade is basically that Trump, for example, one items that he's working on are the tax credits that they're going to be afforded or not afforded to the competition of Tesla. And obviously, if they remove it from Ford and the other guys, so now Tesla is going to be able to compete appropriately. Talking about $7,500 credit. Second, you know, the regulation around robotaxi. Now, robotaxi, you may think of it that robotaxi is a car. Don't look at it that way. Robotaxi is AI. So Tesla is an AI stock. It is an AI stock because no one really understand or see the potential, but it is an AI stock. You don't drive a car like that, blind, right? So this thing has got to it's got to read, it's got to understand, it's got to do all these things at the same time. So it's AI. It's not really self-driving stuff. You have the robots, but we're not talking too much about it. They're going to sell for $20,000, $30,000 each. They are pretty good. Okay, they just caught a ball yesterday. So the point is that with the association with Trump, it will allow Tesla to be able to develop its products, be able to be seen, understood, right? And I mean, they're in the news all the time now. So the Trump trade is very much alive. Now, be careful. Be careful. When we talk about the Trump trades, remember, Trump can be quite volatile. What do I mean by that? Well, he may decide not to like alien anymore for some reason. As long as you cater to him, it should be okay. But how much can you do? Okay. Now, the good thing I think with the relationship between alien and Trump is that alien is not a very emotional. I mean, he's a special character. He's very smart, and he's not an emotional being, right? So that they wouldn't do well with Trump. So I don't think they're gonna have a fight. Okay, but we never know. We never know. Now, if that were to happen, that would potentially hit the stock quite a bit. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that's how it is. I know it's emotional. It's not about the numbers. Remember, security analysis, and I tell that to my students all the time. Security analysis is not really about the numbers. It's about the story. Now, obviously, to understand the story, you need to understand the numbers. You need to understand the history. You need to know what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's not that you put that in a calculator and it says buy or sell. It's a little more complicated than that. The second thing is that's important for the stock that's driving the stock is the AI story, is a robo taxi story, is the SpaceX stories. There's a lot, and that's important. That's important because it's very complicated. Yes, and no one really there's always price discovery in the market. What does that mean? What do you need to know, what is this thing really worth? What is it worth? What's the value of this thing? Well, you need to understand it first. I mean, how many people understand AI? Do you understand large language models? Do you know, for example, that with large language models, you could literally record your grandmother or your grandfather every day. Then you feed it in a machine learning models, and it could start talking to you. That is happening. Hi, how are you today? How was your day? And you say, well, grandma, and imagine grandma might be dead for like a couple of years. And you say, well, I'm having a great time today. So the model will learn and we'll say the next day, oh, yesterday you said you had a great day. How is your day today? You know what I mean? And this thing learns on its own. This is the same principle that drives those cars around. So there's a tremendous of value there with the stock because it's still price discovery. What do you think? We went from 250 to 350. We went up 40%. People say, well, that's too much. I don't know what is too much. What is this thing really worth? You don't even understand all the implication of it. Remember, a couple of years ago, we were saying, "Oh, Uber taxi, were you crazy? I'm not going to go in some stranger's car." Look at you now; you can't do without them. And now people are saying, "I don't want to go into a car where there's no driver. This is nuts." Be surprised. You're going to be surprised. Actually, the car is safer than regular cars, quite frankly. It's not like no one is dying for the regular cars. Okay, so that's reason number two. Number three, the rates. That's the third reason why what's driving the stock. Rates are going to come down. I know. Is that going to keep happening? Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happened with today because today we have what's his name, Jerome Powell. That's going to be talking. He is going to be in New York. He is going to be talking about the rates. Well, he's not going to talk about the race. He's going to talk about a bunch of things, but people want to hear what he has to say. This morning, let me share with you what's going on with some very important technical economic news. And by the way, as you could see, we are heading north here, right? There's a trend. I mean, I hate to tell you, but there's a trend. So if you're doing stock wise, you can't go wrong. Options, you got to be extremely, extremely careful. Okay. So what did we do here? Let me show you what is going on. What's going on with Tesla? You must believe in long-term vision to buy Tesla stock, right? Look, look. That's what I mean by the vision. Tesla has increased its price target to $411. Okay, while maintaining a buy rating. Stifel, he was always very enthusiastic. During this Gar advisor, you may have to believe the medium and long-term vision to buy the stock. We look at the long-term value in the name, discounting pretty heavily back the expectation of these two businesses. Okay, I mean, don't forget the price is the stock is valued at a lot of money. I mean, the P ratio is pretty high in the stock, so it's not like it's. But there's some possibilities here. Okay, so if I take a look at what's going on in the market right now, um, and you could see, I want to show you. Here we go. Right, look. ADP employment change. It was 184, expected 170, and now we're down to 146. This is very significant. Why is this significant? It is significant because the Fed, listen to me now, this is important, because rates are driving the market, believe it or not. As long as you have a good company, the rates are going to be driving the market for a while. The Fed has two choices: either they take care of the unemployed or they fight inflation, right? Unfortunately, to fight inflation, you got to keep the rates up or study. Yeah. If you want to help people find a job, you push the rates down. Why? Well, because it's easy for you to finance businesses. You see what's happening here? So, what is going to happen when I look at 143,000 versus the 170 expected? It tells me, you know what? Unemployment is, I mean, this is not a done deal. We may have a situation with unemployment. We'll see more the numbers tomorrow, but right now, the push is more here, right? Is more. It's okay for me to fight unemployment. Let me lower the rates. I mean, I know the inflation is going sideways, and literally, this discussion is happening in the mind of 250,000 to 300,000 traders that are thinking, okay, what is the Fed going to do? And that's why today, when the Fed speaks, they want to know what he has to say. And they want to know what he has to say because it will dictate what he's going to look at. And that's important, right? So the next thing we need to do, is we need to trying to figure out what is it that they're going to do with the mandate that they have and what's happening, at least what the numbers are saying. It gets pretty tight, right? What I mean by that is, on one hand, you're saying, well, it's 148, 170, so we have so a bit of a weakness in employment, so that's good, right? So you're not going to do any, you're going to lower the rates to help people find jobs, literally, right? Because that's what you said you were going to do. And I know that inflation is going sideways. If you look at the latest numbers in the PCE, it's kind of going, PCI is going sideways, it's not going down. Does it mean that we have an inflation problem? No, we don't have an inflation problem. Although the more Trump talks about the tariffs are inflationary, at least in the short term, even though it's maybe good for the long term for the for growth. In the short term, it might be inflationary. Now, of course, they're saying, yeah, but you know what? There's not going to be any tariffs. He's just talking to make deals, right? Because when we say we're going to be taxed more, that means that you're going to charge Mexico 20% more to import their strawberries, and you're going to pay 20% more for the strawberries, right? Or is Mexico going to eat the tariffs, and for you, you're gonna not going to pay the same price? So, but that's very disturbing. And at the end of the day, as you could see, they don't want any problem with the U.S. I mean, Mexico does not want that type of situation with the U.S. because they make 20 to 30% of their GDP is with the U.S. So you're probably not gonna have tariffs. So you're probably not gonna have inflation driven. Therefore, inflation is really not an issue, and employment is an issue. At least it's a concern. And therefore, every word that he's gonna say, every inclination that the Jerome Powell is gonna talk about today is gonna be scrutinized. Is gonna be scrutinized to see, okay, what is he really going to do? I know it sounds crazy, right? I mean, it's just some guy talking. Yeah, but if he doesn't lower those rates, because don't forget, the market lives lives with those lower rates. Why? Because the higher the rates, the lower the valuation. The lower the rates, the higher the valuation. There is an inverse relationship between the two of them, and that's something that is key to understand in the stock market. You need, for you to make money, let me tell you, for you to make money in the stock market, you need to realize that the higher the rates, the lower the stock market. And simple as that. I mean, if you're going to have a very quick lesson in finance, right? The second thing you need to know, which is very important, is that you need to know what is the story. What is the story in the market? What do you mean by the story? What is the story about Frankenstein? You know the Frankenstein story? What is it about? It's about a monster. No, Frankenstein is not about a monster. Moby Dick is not about a whale. You guys have to realize that it's about what really matters. Frankenstein is about the child and his father, right? Dracula is about uh, uh, living, losing the loss of your life. Very, very big topics. And that's why you need to understand what's going on in the market. If you know what's going on in the market, then all you need to do is, what I mean, understand what is a story, then all you need to worry about is, well, let me pick a stock that's doing well, like, you know, Tesla, although Tesla is doing well, but it's very highly valued. Or, you have Vulcan Material or whatever. And the way I'm helping you, the ways I'm going to help you is that I'm in my Patreon channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, by the way. Um, the way I help you is through my Patreon channel. Let me show you. Let me show you the Patreon channel. Let me show you the Patreon channel because it will help you understand what we're doing. Okay. So this is a Patreon channel. You can see there's a library. So this is a Patreon channel. All right, this is the library. These are my collections. So I've got stories. Started to get some stories on IWN, which is basically it follows the small company stock, the GCT stories, which is a very good low ranking, low P stock, which should be growing up pretty soon. VMC, which is Vulcan Material, which is all about the guys that I mean, it's infrastructure. No, is it going to be a Trump trade? We shall see. I mean, we need infrastructure in this country. You have the QQQ stories, which is basically a stock that follows the Nasdaq, and I just invested. We up $100. Let me show you. I'll show you uh, this account that I created for this channel. I'm going to grow it to $500,000. Come with me, you'll see. And then we have Tesla stories, you could see, and then we have economic news, and then I have technical analysis every day, and then I got trading. Each time I do a trade, I show you, and I also have morning market commentary. So lots of things of interest. Okay, and let's see what we're doing today. If I show you, let me show you the account right now. This is a Robinhood account. As you could see, we're up 16% today. I did some QQQ trade this morning, 12 buys. Um, we're up 13%. Now, if you could see, and I think this is this is something that you should be aware of. Look what's going on with some of the options that we're following. Obviously, Tesla is not doing well. Um, I mean, look at some of the returns that we could have in one day. Anyway, let's move on. QQQ is up 13%. The February is up 10%. I moved from this position to that position today. This is a very good stock as well, and an option up 35%. ACMR today is up 30%. The GCT is up 86%. This is the one that I've been talking to you about. This is a stock that I've been talking to you. And there's some serious money that could be made here. I mean, you have to know what you're. I mean, I'm not into Nvidia, but GCT is a name that I love. Okay, so that's what we do here. We're going to grow this portfolio to $500,000. Come with me, see what happens. But it's not just about picking stock, right? And like I said, it's going to be about understanding very, very succinctly what it is that is driving the stock market. And hopefully, I've shown you what's going on with Tesla. We'll come back later on today. But I don't know if I showed you the Robinhood. Robinhood is pretty good, actually. I like it. We have $240. I don't know if it shows you. If it shows you. If it shows you what's going on with Robinhood. Hold on. I, th- I think. You know what? Yeah. Okay, so people, let me end this thing here because I think I showed you enough information here. You have a feel for what's going on with Tesla, what's driving it, and what we need to look forward for. Remember, also Tesla is very volatile, so okay, think about the stocks that I've talked about. Take a look at the Patreon channel. That should help you greatly in making some money because we're going to be following. I'll show you all the trades that I do.